How's it going, everybody? My name is Jack. I am a commercial pilot and a flight instructor, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about how to do a weather briefing in Foreflight, but more specifically, how to impress that examiner on any check ride you might go with. So that being said, let's get into it.
I'm Jack, a commercial pilot and CFI. Flying has always been a passion of mine, and I love being able to share that experience as a pilot and instructor for those who are curious about soaring through the sky. I hope you enjoy today's video, that you fasten your seatbelt, and that you enjoy the ride.
Alright, so out the gate, I have a flight that I would do almost all the time when I was in flight training, right? I got Lakeland to Punta Gorda. Very easy flight to accomplish, nothing really to worry about. So, how would you brief this, and how would you get that weather briefing using Foreflight? Quick reminder, the only way you can get a weather briefing is either by calling 1-800-WEX-BRIEF, which I do with my students every time in case the iPad doesn't work, or by using a legal EFB tool to get that briefing. So either Foreflight, Garmin Pilot, or even AOPA's website, or as well as a few others that the FAA has down below that you can get. And I'll link those. So, how to do it on Foreflight? You basically have two options that you can do. The first off is you can go into flights here. Like for example, you can create a new flight and you can list it, or you can do the easier tool in my opinion, and that's go here, type in your flight plan with the tail number of the airplane that you have. I'm using one from my own flight school, and all I'm going to do here is click share, and I'm going to click send to flights. And already you get everything you entered into the plane as your route and what you wanted to do right here. Makes it super easy. The only thing you can't configure is your time. So you're going to need to go in and do that yourself. Let's say we're going to go fly, let's go say tomorrow, and we're going to go fly at 10 a.m. Altitude, we're going to just go 3,000. That's pretty easy in Florida. Nothing to worry about with that. But what we're going to do now is you have three options. You can either do a navlog function, which makes it convenient for private check rides. You got the briefing tool, which makes it easy and the goal of our video today. And then also, if you filed it, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you get all the messages from the FAA and from Foreflight saying, hey, your flight plan's been acknowledged. So we're going to do a briefing. And that's how you get it done with Foreflight doing the briefing, and then it'll give you everything and retrieve it, which is cool. If you've never done a Foreflight briefing before, this is what it looks like out the gate. There's a whole lot of stuff that is included in here, which is amazing, but it's in a mess of information that you may or may not understand. And so what we'll do is we're going to go through it together with the acronym that everyone knows as NWCraft, and I'll have it above, which is the standard weather briefing of the information that you need. There's a few other acronyms that other people use. I don't really remember them, but essentially NWCraft is the legal interpretation of all the required information that the FAA wants you to use. And so with every weather briefing that you do, you get the FAA standard of information inside a briefing that's required for every flight you're going to do. And Foreflight is able to give you all of that information, which is awesome. Now, how do you actually interpret it? And specifically, how do you press your examiner when you're getting asked about a briefing? This is going to be pretty common in private pilot check rides. This is going to be specifically for those because you've never done this before with someone from the FAA. So that's where this is going to really hit the nail on the head with that. And so this is where I'm not going to give you the Foreflight answer. I'm going to give you my answer that's helped all of my students pass their check rides this way. Starting with the first thing that you're always going to see is the adverse conditions. Foreflight, for some reason, always starts with the most dangerous thing about your flight. It always does, and I think it's funny. So this is like the danger zone right now of where you're at. So for the adverse conditions of this flight, we're only seeing NOTAMs, right? Punta Gorda, I guess, has unsafe NOTAMs with the runways, but Punta Gorda is pretty common with 422, so it makes sense. But in other flights, you could have TFRs where it's going to say, hey, the airport is closed from this time because of a TFR for either the president coming in or there might be a football game at the stadium, you know? A bunch of different things can happen with TFRs. You could have convective SIGMETs where there could be a whole bunch of adverse weather that you didn't think about. Then you have SIGMETs, AirMets. There's an arrow here for AirMets because if you know, there's 3 different types. So it's going to give you all that information in there if you need to look for those. And then finally, urgent PIREPs. Not UA PIREP, standard ones, UUA. The ones that everyone doesn't like to hear because that's when there's extreme turbulence, really bad icing, or a whole lot of low visibility and bad weather. Next up is the synopsis tab. And this one's very simple. This is just the nation of where you're flying in and what it looks like. So the whole synopsis of the country, right? I'm not going to explain every single one of these, but you can if you know what you need to do with this. And so this is where you can see all the things going on. But for Florida's sake, you can see, looks like we got a cold front that's kind of moving north to south. A little bit of low pressure with this trough, but pretty stable with these isobars being super spread out. And then obviously it's a little green down here. So a little bit of rain to the north. Not our problem, more or less right here, which could be an issue, but we're not actually doing this, so I'm not too worried. Next up we're going to go through is the current weather tab. So this is going to tell you what the weather's looking like right now. Not for your flight, unless you're doing it like an hour before, but just what it looks like right now. So here we go. METARs, you can see it's all green here, which is nice. And then PIREPs, same thing. What people have been reporting. There's going to be hundreds of these depending on your area. You can go through each one if you really want to. Like for this one, it's all the way up in Daytona Beach area. Doesn't mean they're going to apply to your route with that purple line right here, but it's good to see where they're reporting and what's going on. Because if it's in your area, you never know. So that's what's good about the current weather tab. Next up is forecasts, and this is the big one. This is the tab that is the most important one and by far the one the examiner wants you to see, because all of this is going to give him the questions for both the weather tab and the flight planning tab. So your cross countries and everything about the nature of the flight that you're going from A to B with weather, as well as airport operations, depending on, what happens. So you can already see TAFs. It's going to give you an idea of what the TAFs look like, and you have to actually scroll down and read them. It's not going to give you what it looks like because this is a TAF, so it's 24 hours. But if you look at the airport code for KLAL, this is what it looks like over the next 24 hours, starting on the 3rd at midnight to the 3rd at midnight. That's funny, it's 2400. I've never really seen that before. Next up is wind. This is going to be important for your examiner because he's going to ask you if you have a headwind or a tailwind. And this chart clearly will show that. Right, we're going from Lakeland to Punta Gorda. So you're going to see that the wind barbs are pointing down, which means the wind is going this way. Because remember, they point towards the wind. They don't point with the wind. So we're going to get a southerly wind coming from the south moving north. So we're going to get an entire headwind all the way down. And it looks like it's very calm. It's going to be like 5 knots based on the barb. But you have the temperature here at plus 18 degrees Celsius. And so that's why you see plus 18 the entire time. Some people might think it's wind. It's not. It's just the temperature, which is cool. And you'll see that with the vertical cross-section chart here as well. You'll see that you can see plus 18 degrees Fahrenheit, or not Fahrenheit, Celsius. And you got the wind barb. It's, 5 knots of wind. So nothing too crazy. And to confirm that, you have the winds and temps aloft tab where you can see the wind at your altitude that you're at. So for example, at Lakeland, it's going to be 1705 with 18 degrees Celsius. And then Punta Gorda shifts a little bit to 154 at 6, but still 18 Celsius, which is really cool. And you can see what it looks like elsewhere at all these other altitudes, which is great. But if you don't want that, and you want to see all the other ones, you can actually tab this off and you can scroll. So let's say you filed for 3,000 feet, but you actually want to go higher. Let's say you want to go like 5 or even all the way up to 11,000 feet if you wanted to. I mean, why not? You can see the differences in wind as you scroll over and as you can see what's happening. And so that's where this is going to be very important to look at, but you have to take this off. So there we go. All right, now we get into the last chart, the NOTAM section. And this one is kind of one of those charts that I don't like. I really don't like how Foreflight does this. It would be nice if they could change it, but not in a way that they completely overhaul it, to where it just makes it easier to look. Because I'll just kind of show it to you. You have destination, en route, and then ARTCC. Very easy things to know, but what sucks about it is when you click destination, for example, right? Let's say you choose Punta Gorda as your destination, but then you're going to go to Lakeland. So you file Lakeland to Lakeland with Punta Gorda. It's not going to give you your destination to Punta Gorda. It's only going to give you Lakeland. Like I'll show you when I go over here. If you look at departure, it's going to show you Lakeland, but then destination, it just goes back to Lakeland. So you got to be careful with that. And that's where you just got to know that you have to select the airport you're going to if you want those NOTAMs. If you don't want those NOTAMs, I'm going to leave this one because I got to show you where it is. It's kind of dumb. It's en route, but you're not going to get the destination. That's what sucks about this. You're only going to get the NOTAMs that are just either in the air or in this case at our destination, but it's not going to be as organized as this. It's just going to be like, okay, here's navigation NOTAMs, here's communication NOTAMs, here's surface, airspace, special use, you name it. It's just going to tell you everything, and it's not going to nice and neatly organize it. So that's what does suck about it. So you got to know that going in. Don't select your home airport as the end destination with a flight plan. Select the airport you're going to, and then you'll get the organized NOTAMs. But going through all these categories, you get the different types of NOTAMs that you have with all of your information that you need for the NOTAMs that you might have to worry about and the NOTAMs that are just kind of advisory. So with that being said, that is the weather briefing on Foreflight. It's very easy to use. You just click that thing, make sure it's configured, and then you're good. How to file a flight plan is the next thing, and I won't go into detail with that because this is mostly for VFR. If you want flight rules, you go IFR or VFR, and then all you do is push this button right here, proceed to file, and then you do it. So that's how you do a weather briefing. That's the basics. There's nothing crazy about it. You just click it and go through it. What I hate about the NOTAMs though, and this is where I like it a lot better, if I clicked Lakeland as the airport, you can see that there's this little tab right here. It says NOTAM. You click it and look at that. It gives you all the NOTAMs from the last 7 days. It gives you last 30 days, older or upcoming NOTAMs. It gives you if there's any NOTAMs that are coming. It gives you obstacle NOTAMs. So the same thing, like all the NOTAMs that are just kind of random. This is where that is. And then finally, if there's any TFRs or NOTAMs there, you'll see that they have those same weird ones in here. But there's going to be a lot more of them because, again, this just gives you everything. So, in my opinion, with the flights tab, with weather briefing, I look at NOTAMs at the airports I'm going to just to make sure, but they have everything included in the weather briefing, which makes it super convenient to use. So, however you want to do that, it's fine. Just know you have to do the weather briefing on Foreflight for it to be legal. All right, now the last one. The last point I'm going to make, how to impress that examiner if you've made it this far. If you're that student that's like, I don't know what I'm going to expect going into a Checkride for a weather briefing, or I don't know if I'm explaining this right or how this is going. Let me just tell you, there is no right or wrong way to explain a weather briefing. It is very easy. It's super simple. There's nothing that you have to really focus on. The only thing the examiner wants you to do is go through that acronym. Make sure you hit all those points. So when I did that whole weather briefing of just this flight from Lakeland to Punta Gorda, I went through all of those things that Foreflight had on there, and it checked the boxes off of each one except for 2. And the 2 it didn't hit were the alternate and the fuel. The fuel one, you're going to need to go into here, make sure you can do it with your hours and your speeds based on your profile, then go to flights, and you can go to fuel at shutdown. So if you calculate it out in your nav log or in your flight, you add however many gallons you have left. That's the fuel. The other one, the alternate, you need to go and you need to select it right here as an alternate. It's going to go through everything, and it's going to show you, hey, if I look at the route that you're going to, this is where I'm going to show you your routes that you could end up selecting. So you can see right here, these are the options it gives me for an alternate, right? It gives me Bartow, Winter Haven, Tampa Exec, Tampa, St. Pete if I absolutely had to go that way. Or if I went down here, it's not going to give me much because there's no airports, but you can look and see. You got another one over here. You got Venice. You got Sarasota. Right, you got SRW or RSW, excuse me. You got Fort Myers, right? This is going to be on your part to plan. You're going to need to plan this the way you would think an alternate would work for your route, and that's where you got to go to the examiner and in your weather briefing explain, hey, I have an alternate for this airport in case something happens, so we can look at that weather and see what it is if we absolutely had to go there. And that's all you need to do for that alternate. Fuel, do the calculations on your own, and then you'll be set. Then the last thing that I will point out with R is runways, right? The reason why the Foreflight plan covers the runways is it automatically assumes your performance. So when you go to flights in here and you select the airports you want to go to, right, you can add in information if you actually went to file your airport, and then it'll give you the information listed for that airport specifically. So It's not going to show you where the runways and what the runway lengths are, but if you were to file it, you're able to add your performance data in if you needed to. So if your examiner asks, all right, let's look at the runways, let's see how long they are, you obviously know, based on your flight plan, that you can go in there. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to need to go to the airport you're going to, go to the airport you're going to, and then you're going to need to select the taxi diagram of these runways and show them that, hey, these are this long, we can do it. So again, it covers all the information that you need, but you're going to have to verify it through the rest of the sources on Foreflight. You just have to know and understand that going in, this isn't something that, again, you click the button and you're done. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is do the research beforehand, verify everything's good, and then walk into your check ride with that button push of your weather briefing, because the examiner's not going to care how good or how bad of a weather briefing you did as long as you give him that information somehow or some way. And Foreflight just organizes it right there to just touch it, scroll next, touch it, scroll next, touch it, scroll next. Super convenient, such an easy tool to use, and honestly, the pilots back in the 50s and 60s are like mind blown because of how easy it is. They were looking through all these paper sectionals and all these charts just to get a proper weather briefing. We have it so easy. So, do the work, know your flight plan, and then use the button push with the weather briefing just to verify your information. Only other thing I'll say, you need a standard briefing. Foreflight does that, and you can also use it for an abbreviated. You can use it for the Outlook, and it will give you all the information that you can, but at the end of the day, this weather briefing covers the standards. I didn't have to say it because it's legal. You can look at it if you really want to, but that's where Foreflight's essential is. It's one way you can get that standard briefing and not have to talk to anyone else about it. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you took something away from it, as there's a lot of things that Foreflight is good for, but if you don't know what you're looking for, that's why I make these videos, to specifically highlight some things that you may not have thought about before. If you want to go watch the full tutorial of how to use Foreflight that they provide, the video links are down below. And they have just a whole bunch of mini videos that you can just watch on, oh, how to do this, how to do that. That's not the point of why I'm making these videos. I make these videos just to highlight some things that I think are needed to be talked about. If you enjoyed this video and you want more videos similar, feel free to go down below and subscribe, like this video. I'm planning on making a whole lot more Foreflight videos for specific topics, so I hope you choose to stick around. If you also want to look at where I place content elsewhere, where I make it, you can go down below to my Instagram. That's where I also do a bunch of stuff there too. And then finally, if you want to know who I am, a little more about me, you can go down below to my website and check me out there. That's where I have just kind of a little background about me and what I do. So that being said, thank you guys so much for coming and watching. I hope you all enjoy, and I can't wait to catch you in the next one. See ya!